So here's Hillary Clinton answering a question about why Bernie Sanders, a self-described socialist, is drawing such big crowds.
I always thought this would be a competitive race. One of the things that I learned last time is it's organize, organize, organize. And you've got to get people committed, and then they will follow through, and then you bring more people. So I feel very good about where my campaign is. Everybody has to run his or her own campaign, and I'm going to be telling the American people what I propose and how I think it will work, and then we'll let voters make up their minds.
So I think all that's perfectly good. She doesn't want to engage with Bernie Sanders now, and I've been saying for a while I think it's a challenge for her to engage. And talking about organizing is great, but she's not answering the question, which I think is always a problem for any politician, but particularly for her.
She's not answering the question, Mark, because Bernie Sanders is a much bigger problem than they had anticipated. And the reason is he's more like a Pat Buchanan. He's more like a protest candidate where you can't get your hands around it. It's not one issue. It's just a broader feeling in the progressive wing of the Democratic Party that they want something different. You've read the polls just like I have. The party is moving further and further to the left, and Bernie has harnessed that, and she hasn't. And she knows that, and she has got to try and tap back into that base of her party. It is the grassroots of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, but the reality is if she could draw big crowds, she'd probably be doing it. All right, another piece of sound from this CNN interview. Hillary Clinton answering the question why many Americans say in polls they don't find her honest and trustworthy.
I was elected twice in New York against the same kind of onslaught. I was confirmed and served as Secretary of State. And I think it's understandable that when questions are raised, people maybe are thinking about them and wondering about them. But I have every confidence that during the course of this campaign, people are going to know who will fight for them, who will be there when they need them. And that's the kind of person I am. This has been a theme that has been used against me and my husband for many, many years. And at the end of the day, I think voters sort it all out. I have great confidence. I trust the American voter. So I trust the American voter 100%.
That was a Clinton-esque answer, meaning Bill Clinton. He would always say, this is our enemies using it against us. Again, it's a tough question to answer, but I found that to not be particularly unevasive.
You know, dare I say, Mark, that this is potentially also an aspect of her media strategy that when you do not make yourself accessible to the media and you're such a hot ticket like Hillary Clinton, they go and they focus on things that they can write about, like emails, like the Clinton Foundation. And those things look bad, especially when you're not talking to the press about them. You're not being open. And there's already a pre-existing narrative about you being secretive.
What do you think of the bites we've seen from that interview? What do you think of her tone and demeanor?
You know, I think just generally speaking, in this interview and in others, since the start of this campaign, we have seen a different tone to Hillary Clinton, and that is because she's getting different advice than she did the last time around to try and be a little bit more accessible, to have a little bit more warmth, to not be as defensive and abrasive with the media.
Yeah. I thought the substance of these answers, again, they're difficult questions to answer. Why don't people trust you, and why is your opponent drawing such big crowds? I don't think the substance of the answers was particularly good, but I think her demeanor was actually, for her, pretty good, which is to say she didn't seem defensive. She seems to be engaging the interviewer stylistically, and she does have some tics, that laugh, etc., that she's not doing here, that I think her critics don't like. I thought she came across pretty well. And there's nothing there for people to seize on in a negative way by Republicans, etc. So I think stylistically pretty good. All right, here's another clip from that interview. Hillary Clinton's answer on the use of private email server and why she deleted thousands of emails related to her from her time as Secretary of State.
Let's take a deep breath here. Everything I did was permitted by law and regulation. I had one device. When I mailed anybody in the government, it would go into the government system. Now, I didn't have to turn over anything. I chose to turn over 55,000 pages because I wanted to go above and beyond what was expected of me. This is being blown up with no basis in law or in fact. That's fine. I get it. This is being, in effect, used by the Republicans in the Congress. Okay. But I want people to understand what the truth is. And the truth is Everything I did was permitted, and I went above and beyond what anybody could have expected in making sure that if the State Department didn't capture something, I made a real effort to get it to them.
Oh, that's not a good answer, because she's some of what she says is sort of maybe technically true, but it evades, and we didn't play the full question there, but it evades a lot of the issues that people are concerned about, including whether she did turn everything over. And when she says she didn't have to turn stuff over, I don't really get the basis of that answer. Sounds like she's trying to brag about what she did rather than defend it or explain it.
The problem with this story from the beginning, Mark, has been that it has been, instead of one big dump of emails, it's been a trickle. And several evolutions of this story. And we find, they released all the emails. No, they didn't. There's more information coming the day after they said they released all the emails that actually didn't include all of them. So it feeds that narrative as well, and it keeps the story alive as long as there's nothing else out there that's dominating the narrative at that point. It's going to be about the emails and about the Clinton Foundation stories, and it just keeps drip, drip, drip.
Now, look, we only showed 3 answers and then the immigration one at the beginning. Everything here, though, is about process. It's about the process of politics and scandal rather than substance. And I think the best thing Hillary Clinton has going forward for her as she goes forward and does these interviews is if reporters keep only asking her or mostly asking her about process, because those things, I think, for a lot of voters are just wah, wah, wah. It's to her advantage.